Today we have a royal, uh, former UK champion, now a Jamaican Olympian, Adelle Tracey. How are you doing today?
I'm good, yeah. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Nice, chill day. We just get to sit around and talk.
Sunday, the day of rest. Yeah.
The day of rest. Day of rest. Are you Christian, spiritual? What is your religious background?
I'd say spiritual is probably the way I'd classify it, yeah.
Spiritual.
How about you?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I grew up in Christianity, but I've more stemmed towards more spirituality of late.
Okay.
I think it has to do a lot with because I'm in the US and around a lot more religions. So I don't know. That's just my outlook on life now. Christian based, but like religious. I mean, spiritual.
Yeah, I'd say the same. Obviously, when I was in Jamaica, I grew up a
Yeah.
Christian.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So the thing I like to do on the reason being is, well, I need to introduce myself. Sorry. My name's Kareem, your host, and I think I'd like to. Sorry. Sorry. It's you. It is you. It's just it is you.
Great,
Okay.
got those.
All right. Welcome back to another episode. The reason being, today we have a royal member, a UK junior champion, and now a Jamaican Olympian, Miss Adele Tracey. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. The thing that I like to do on the reason being before we start the conversation is a little bit of self-reflection. But when you look in the mirror, how do you see yourself? Who's Adele to Adele?
So I would probably say I am ever the optimist. Yeah, my kind of someone that is on the sunny side, if that makes sense. Yeah, cup half full kind of person.
Up half
A
full?
cup half full. So you know how you say like, oh, my glass is full, or it's like describe your
Yeah.
glass as empty. I definitely
Yeah.
err on the side of optimism.
Okay. I can see that. I definitely see that. You are definitely more of like a sunshine person. What's that plant called? The sunflower.
Okay.
You do give off sunflower vibes. Yeah. Because even when you compete, like you're smiling during your races, which is like unheard of. You're just like, hi, I'm Adele and I'm running. And I just like smiling, just this bright face no matter what. I do see
Tends
that.
to kick in when things start to hurt though. So yeah, I think that's my way of kind of coping, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Optimism, I
Yeah.
guess. So tell me a little bit about your ethnicity.
So my dad is Jamaican, my mum is British, and lived in the US. So I was born in Seattle. My dad was a Husky, so yeah, he was an athlete as well. And probably from the age of about 2 till 8, I grew up in Jamaica, in the hills of Manchester. So I've always identified strongly as yeah, British Jamaican. And yeah, a big part of my life and also my identity. Yeah, and I feel really proud of my heritage.
Okay, so from 2 to 8 years old, you were raised in
Mhm.
Jamaica. And at what point did you decide, you know what? I want to be a distance athlete. This is what Jamaica is. We need more distance runners.
I don't know. I think when you grow up in Jamaica, it's in the culture running, and yes, sprint culture majority. But I think you just run. Everybody runs. I remember seeing people in my community running through the village. I would run around barefoot with my cousins and my sisters and my brother, and it's just what we do. It's kind of similar to like when I would go to Kenya, and the culture there is distance
Mm,
running, but it's very similar when you're a kid. You see someone running, you join in, and I think yeah, I think that's when my running kind of started, definitely in Jamaica. Because by the time I went to school in the UK, it was definitely, I felt like that was part of my identity, that was something that I
mhm.
knew I was strong at. And yeah, it was like my thing, like everybody knew that I was a good runner, even from a really young age. So I think the distance part of it probably came into play because I was quick, but maybe not the fastest. I've
Yeah.
got the head to keep grinding, and I enjoyed the fact that it was kind of cool to see how far I could go. So yeah, I guess that's why the middle distance comes in.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you, like, do you prefer distance or middle distance?
It's funny because I just see it as distance, because the training and the work that I put in is very much geared towards that. To be able to be a good middle distance runner, you have to sort of, at the moment I'm logging like 60-mile week. You have to go further.
60 miles a week?
Yeah, and that's not the most that I'd say people do for my event. You can get sort of 1,500 runners running up to sort of 80 miles a week. So me running 65, 60 miles consistently is on the lower end of that spectrum. But you need to do that to be strong enough to run any type of race in the middle distances.
How often do you change your shoes?
Like every 2 months. Yeah, so you get free shoes.
Okay. Oh my God, man, that's a lot of miles. I don't even think I walked that much in like 2 months, like 60
Okay.
miles. I don't think I cover 60 miles of practice.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I've
Yeah.
built up to for a really long time. So, like, obviously I didn't run that much when I was a kid, but I think it is in the mindset that once you've gone beyond what you think you're capable of, then when it comes to the race part, that's easy. I only have to run 2 laps. I only have to run just under, 4 laps.
Yeah, that's true. So did you have any uh idols growing up, any inspiration?
Yeah, I had so many. I think that kind of contributed to wanting to do different events. My dad was a 400-meter runner, so I always knew about that. And I used to love Kathy Freeman as a kid. Watching her in her green speed suit at the 2000 Sydney Olympics was like, yeah, icon for me. And a lot of the reasons why I wanted to like be an athlete. And then as I grew up, obviously, I always watched Marley Nottie. She was like a massive inspiration for me in the sprints. Again, I think it's that iconic speed suit. There's something about it that makes you think, it just makes it look good. Then,
Yeah, even for running a speed
yeah, I
suit.
know. I'm so glad Jamaica brought back the speed suit for the women. um, and then, yeah, as I got a bit older, I really loved watching Dame Kelly Holmes. She was a big part of my journey. Obviously a British athlete, but an 800-meter runner and a 1,500-meter runner. And I don't think it's a coincidence that I've gone on to do those events, because I was lucky enough to have Kelly as a mentor for a few years, and
That's
yeah,
nice.
learn from her.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Okay, so obviously you did most of your junior championships in the UK.
Mhm.
Can we talk about what is it, 2009 World Euros? That's what it's
So the
called.
European Youth Olympics. I don't know if they still do it.
Youth Olympics.
Yeah, yeah, that was
You got a silver that.
yeah, it was a big deal for me because I think up until that point, like I'd always wanted to be an athlete. I'd always done sport alongside school. It was something that I'd always put a lot of time and energy into and was really determined with, but I'd not really seen any evidence that it could be a career. So yeah,
Yeah.
I just went into those championships very actually very professional, I'd say, for my age. But I had so much fun. Like, it was my first championship experience. You're living in sort of a dorm situation with other athletes. And I really lent into that fun. And I think that's something that I always remember and think about when I'm at championships now, because it's so easy to, as you get older, take it more and more seriously and not, not
Yeah.
have fun with it. Because I mean, that's the reason we want to run. Like, it's fun to see how fast you can go. So I
Yeah.
always go back to that, and I'm like, yeah, I just need to lean into the fun a little bit more. And I think that's why I ran so well at my first championship.
So what was it like training as a junior in the UK?
So for me, so there's a lot of club systems. I was lucky enough to have a really great female coach up until the age of 19 where I changed to my current coach, Craig Winrow. He's based out of a university called St. Mary's University in Twickenham. And she was really great at just not making sure that I was overtraining at that age. I'd say if anything, I was under-conditioned, under-trained a little bit, but I sort of learned the key things that I needed to learn to progress to seniors. And, you know, I'd do things like hill sprints on like sort of sand dunes, and we would go to the track like 3 times a week. And yeah, it's just really fun. Like, I think that's a big part of it for me, being able to enjoy that side of running, to want to do the work.
So did anything change after you won your Euro silver medal for you?
Maybe like mentally, I think it gave me the belief to think, oh, I've got a medal here. Like, I can definitely, this could be a career, this could be a job. And I never really thought of it like that.
No.
Sorry, say.
You were thinking that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think when you have evidence like that in front of you, it's kind of like it just puts it in perspective. Nothing changed for me in the sense that I was still at school. I went to college, carried on training, and actually I didn't make another international team for, I think it was 6 years till I was 23. And at that point, I do remember my mum saying to me, you know, would you consider running for Jamaica? I'd accepted a couple of England vests, and when you do that, it then resets your eligibility. So, but I clearly remember her saying to me, do you want to do this? Because as soon as you do that, it means then you can't run for Jamaica. And she knew that that was something that I always wanted to do. So quite a big decision to kind of think about when you're like 16 years old. Like, should I say yes to running internationally for, you know, Great Britain or not? Because that might change my choices in the future. So, yeah.
Okay. So how was the experience, running for Great Britain as a junior compared to when you made your another international debut at 23?
I'd say pretty similar in the sense that, yeah, I just love, I thrive in that environment. I think championship racing is what I do it for, essentially. I think, especially in the middle distances, when you're in a race where there's no pacemaker, it completely changes everything. And then, you know, tactics come into play, and it's all about just running really intuitively, which I enjoy. So, yeah, I kind of thrive in that environment, and all of those pressures that come with it. I enjoy that side of it as well. So it's very different to doing that week in, week out racing when you're on the circuit and you've got a paced race. So yeah, I loved that championship. I think I came 4th at the European under-23s that year, but again, I made a big step forward. I ran a PB. I think up until that point I was still progressing. It was just that it was really difficult to make teams.
Yeah. So, okay, my question is, well, a personal question I do want to ask is, like, in the UK, I've noticed like a lot of junior athletes, they sign very young to like shoe companies, like Nike London, UK London. I don't really know any other like, like international company that's like attached to like London. Why is that a thing that happens in the UK?
I don't know. I think there's definitely a thing with putting young athletes, really celebrating their success. And I understand that. I definitely think if someone's done something amazing, we should celebrate that. But I also think that it can be quite dangerous when you're very, very young to be thrust into the limelight, given all this sponsorship, when you're still developing as an athlete, you're still learning a lot about the sport, and yeah, just finding your place in that world. I wasn't one of those people. I didn't sign a professional contract until I was 23. Yeah. That's when I signed my first contract, and actually I had a really great year that first year that I signed. So I went to the European 23s, under 23s, and then the year after I went to my first major championship at Oh no, I tell a lie. 2 years later, I went to the World Championships in London. So that was like a really positive experience for me. I have like, I was with that brand for maybe 4 or 5 years before signing with my current sponsor, Hoka.
So before you even like signed your first contract, how was like the transition from like junior to like semi-pro?
Yeah, tough. Yeah, I think you sort of have that time where you're still kind of finding your feet with the sport. Like I say, I find a lot of people in that window from like 16 to 20 or whatever, if you don't choose to go to university, it can be real tough because you don't have that structure and that support, even if it's just like medically or people pick up injuries and then it's really difficult to support yourself and work through that. But I decided to go to university when I was 18. I did pick up a lot of injuries because the nature of what I was doing was, I wasn't in a sports institute, I was at an arts university. So I just wanted to do an art degree. That's something that I found comes more naturally to me. I've never been like someone who's really academic. And so pursued that and tried to kind of balance running alongside that. But the nature of I guess, arts course is that it's very full on and it's more like a work kind of day. So you're working, so you've got to be in class from 9 to 5, everything's practical. And so training around that, I was getting up at like 5:30 in the morning, going training, and then training in the evening. So yeah, that taught me a lot because it was really trying to like balance life and then also work around that as well. So I think university can be really great for facilitating athletes progression if you're in the right setup and if you're at sports university. I then went to St. Mary's afterwards and I found that out pretty quickly because I had my coach there, I had the track on my front door, I had the gym around the corner. You can things like physio for the first time, and it just means that you have that right environment to almost be like a professional and behave like a professional. So I think those sort of things make it a lot easier to get through that transition of just finding your feet. Yeah,
Honestly, I thought you were like signed at a younger age because just growing up in the UK and then you won a medal at when you were like 16 years old. I think no, you weren't 16 years old. Were you 16? Yeah, you were 16. Yeah. Yeah, so I thought you signed to that, previous shoe company young because I've noticed that they push that company a lot on like UK athletes. So I thought you were like with them for like a long time. They do. I'm sorry, they do.
Yeah, it's
They
true.
do.
I think there's a lot of people who have been in that pathway of progression. And I think it's kind of tough, like I was saying, like just being thrust into the limelight and like being that young. That wasn't my journey.
I mean, it worked out how it's supposed to work out, honestly.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But you represented Great Britain at I'd say what 3 championships.
Yeah. Sorry, just say that again.
You represented Great Britain at 3 championships.
Mm,
2016.
I suppose at the major championships. So I went to the World Championships in 2017. I went to the Commonwealth Games 2018, European Championships 2018, European Indoors 2019, 2016 World Indoors. 20 up until 2019 was when I stopped and
representing.
And that was due to injury. I had a very injury riddled 2019. Obviously COVID happened, and then in 2021 I just missed out on the Olympic team. So really during that period I was thinking a lot about my sort of steps forward, and like I said previously, I had thought about running for Jamaica when I was quite young, and it was only really I missed out on the Olympics in 2021 that I thought, hey, I think this is 3 years, and I had to turn down a few opportunities during that year. I think there was like a team championship and then the indoor championships. But March 2022, that's when my eligibility opened up. The rest is
So what's that process? What is that process like, transitioning from one country to another country?
So I think it's a lot more complex than people might realize.
Okay, we have time.
Just in terms of obviously the stipulations that World Athletics have in place, it's it's not as easy as being like, this is my heritage, that's what I'm going to do. There's a lot of paperwork that goes into it. Obviously, I had grew up in Jamaica, but I didn't previously have a Jamaican passport or citizenship. Having to get those things in place during COVID when there was a lot of backlog. The whole process in total took over a year, and a lot of trips to Jamaica, a lot of conversations within World Athletics to just make sure that I was doing it for the right reasons as well, which I totally understand because I get that it's not something that happens very often. Mainly because of that 3-year rule, it makes it very difficult for athletes to do that. So I do feel really privileged that I had that opportunity and I have that choice. And yeah, I just, at that point in my career, I think I knew I was getting better. I just hadn't got there yet. And I'm so glad that kind of my best running years are on the Jamaican team.
Yeah. I mean, we're happy to have you, honestly, because like you are our royal. You're our royal treatment. We give you that.
I don't know about that, but
So,
it's been a real joy to almost come home and have this experience. I think it means a lot to me. Having that opportunity to put on that best, because it's something that I've honestly always wanted to do. And I just feel really proud.
Yeah. Okay, so before we even get into the Jamaican stuff, just representing the UK as a whole, how would you summarize that experience? What's your main takeaway?
I think for me, it was what I needed in terms of I learned a lot from my juniors and through those championship experiences that I still refer back to now. I was lucky enough to, have a lot of knowledgeable people around me, and I've learned a lot about the events that I do and, the best way to get the most out of myself, essentially. So, I'm really thankful to those years.
I mean, I feel like I would imagine like switching from the UK. I'm not sure what the UK is like, but like I've only had experience from Jamaica. But I'd imagine the UK, it would just be more. I'd say I don't want to like talk down on Jamaica, honestly. I'd say they'd be more like organized when it comes on to like championships and whatnot. Kind of what I was like asking, like how is their like set up when you go to like championships, as like the team.
Yeah, I think I've learnt more from the camps that I've been away with on the British team than I had necessarily at the championships. So, making sure there's a lot of input, I suppose, from like physiology point of view, nutrition point of view, physio. So I think drawing on those resources and, making sure that I'm getting enough hydration, I've eaten the right thing to get the most out of my body before I even get on the track, making sure that I'm maximizing recovery, knowing that I need to get a protein shake within 15 minutes of a workout or my race, and maybe I'll have some cherry juice because I want to like refresh my legs to make sure that I'm not as domsy the next day for my next round. There's like little things like that I've just learned over the years, and I feel really privileged that I have that information now when I go into a championship. I know that I'm doing everything, if that makes sense. So I think comparatively, it's more like on the Jamaican team, I love that there's this real sense of, I think the psychology on the Jamaican team, it's like everyone just wants you to go out there and give your absolute best and enjoy it. And I think there is something so powerful about that. I know it sounds, it's simplicity, but it's like something so forgotten. You can overthink things. You can prioritize the wrong thing, put a lot of emphasis on the end result. But something that I've noticed being a part of the Jamaican team is that there's so much in that. When you see a team manager before you go to the race, they say the right thing. And I'm like, that's so important. That's what you need as an athlete when it comes down to it. It's, feeling ready.
It's simple.
Yeah, it's the simple things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how was your first time competing at the Jamaican trials? What was the competition like to you? That was 2022, right?
Yeah, 2022. So that was a stressful championship for me, just because at that point I hadn't been confirmed as a Jamaican athlete. So I went to those championships knowing that that was my decision. I'd made my decision. I wanted to compete for Jamaica. I told British Athletics. They gave me permission to miss British Championships and go to Jamaican trials, because at this point, I think I was ranked in the top 2 in the UK. So they were kind of like, you won't be in first round of selection if you're not present at trials. But they said, we give you permission to go and do that because we know that's your decision. So I went off to Jamaica, not knowing if World Athletics would declare me as a Jamaican athlete to go and run the 800 and 1500. And I'm just so thankful for my friend Natoya Gould, who's always just so amazing and a little ray of sunshine, because I felt really overwhelmed and like, I don't know if this is going to work out, but she kind of took me under her wing, and that made that experience of that first championships really special for me. And yeah, I just think, like, I remember sitting in the stands and seeing the National Stadium and being like, this is what I wanted. I always wanted to come here and be a part of this and experience this. And it's even little things, like, I think, when you grow up in a predominantly white space, and endurance running is that, and you come back to where you grew up, you sit in the stands and look out on the infield, and this might sound completely crazy, but it's like, I'm looking at all the officials and they're all black, and that for me hits home so much more, because I'm like, this is why I did this. I feel part of something. I feel seen. And yeah, that was a really special moment for me.
Okay. You know what you need to experience? You need to experience champs.
Yeah. Everybody says, so that's something I definitely missed out on growing up in the UK. Everybody says champs is the time to go. It's like springtime, right?
It's in March. Okay. I think it's March.
I'd love to go and experience it. I know it would be the same being that age, but
no, just to like watch, or you can like go to pen relays. That's Jamaica's meat, honestly.
I know. That is definitely on my my bucket list. My dad won the pen relays. I'm not sure what year, so it's something that I always wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to.
Okay, so, there you go.
Thank you. Yeah. It's cold though. It's so cold. But I mean, you train the UK, so it's like normal Tuesday for you or something. Yeah.
I mean,
so did you know Go before you started competing, representing Jamaica?
Sorry, say that again.
Did you know Natoya Gould before we started competing for Jamaica?
Yeah, I mean, we raced each other loads because we were in the same event at the 800. But I remember speaking to her, I think for the first time in 2018 at Commonwealth Games, and she said to me, she was like, "You should run for Jamaica." Yeah, I remember her saying it to me, and I was like, "Yeah, I'd like to." So yeah, it's funny how things turn out. She's my roommate this year in Paris. So yeah, it's full circle almost.
Yeah. So how was the 2022 championship for you? In Oregon?
Yeah, I think for me, I'd had a lot of stress going into the Jamaican trials that year, and then just I guess the reaction from a lot of that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I had a lot of support from a lot of people, particularly the Jamaican, I guess, fans. But I think also within that, there's always going to be, people that are
Yeah,
negative too. So it was kind of about just blocking a lot of that out and not listening to the noise, and just remembering why I made that decision and trying to lean into having fun, like I said. And I think I did that. It was a really, looking back on it, it was my first team with the Jamaican team. So just getting to grips with everything, learning people's names, getting to know people, that was a lot. And I think, overall, I think it was, I left that championship feeling like really proud that I'd done that and I made that decision. It wasn't an easy thing to do, to be like, I'm going to change everything now. So I think when you're going through change, it's always like a little bit turbulent, but I still think I had a successful championship and made the most of that experience.
Yeah, I think it was pretty good too, because that's when I also got to know
Yeah.
you. That's how we became, Yeah. One thing you did tell me, like, you were a vegan, and I'd never understood how you
Vegetarian,
how
not
you
vegan.
said, oh, what was it again?
I'm
Sorry,
vegetarian.
vegetarian, not vegan. My
No,
apologies. And I don't get how you survive without like meat. Like, you need meat. You need protein.
yeah, but
That
there's a lot of protein in vegetables and other sources. Like you can get protein from a lot of places.
Yeah, but meat is just it's like saying I'm gonna get light from the moon, but you need the sun. Like, no, it's a different light. No, no,
Yeah, so
no.
I think after that trip to Bahamas, most of the team managers called me veggie.
Oh, really?
It's just not a thing in Jamaica. You don't
Yeah,
get that many veggies.
yeah, no, yeah. So, so how did you grow up vegetarian? Was your father Rastafarian? Your mom?
No, everybody asks me this. They're like, "Are you Rasta?" No, no. My mom had a bad experience with jerk chicken. I'll say that, and she got food poisoning real bad. And then after that, we just all went veggie. So I don't remember. I feel like I'm a day one veggie. I'm probably, even in the UK, like some of my friends are vegetarian, but that's like a recent decision that they've made. I just don't know any different.
Yeah,
And I'm very fortunate that my mum's an amazing cook, and I'd say I'm quite a good cook too. So I don't ever feel like it's something I'm lacking,
yeah.
if that makes sense. I have a lot of beans, nuts, lentils. Obviously you can get loads of stuff now that's like artificial meat. It's just like an easy thing. I only really do that when I go over to friends for like a barbecue. I'll bring my veggie sausages along or whatever, but I would rather cook, if that makes sense.
So if it's like a potluck, what would you bring to a potluck?
A potluck. So like you did bring a
Yeah,
dish. Mm,
yeah.
I'd probably bring like some sort
What would I need to try from Adele?
of I'd probably bring some sort of curry, like a lentil dal, or maybe
You got dal?
dal, yeah. Yeah, I love dal.
I love dal. I've had it in a
Okay.
while actually. Now she say I need to start. Yeah, I love dal. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Or like a Thai green curry. Something you can put like a
Are you, are you mixed with Indian?
no, like that's just good food.
Okay, okay, just checking. Because usually like just Indian people eat dal.
No, but you would say so. Like a lot of, I guess, South Asian people probably are vegetarian. So a lot of those dishes are
Yeah,
like really appropriate for someone like me, but also delicious.
yeah. All right, so back to Bahamas. This was the NACA Championship.
Yeah,
You earned two medals that year in the 800 and the 1500. They were silver, correct?
yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
How was, even before the race? How was the heat for you? Because it was
yeah,
hot.
it was
It was
okay.
yeah
Yeah, because
yeah
I think it was really windy as well. Do you remember that?
yes yeah. There's no trees. It was
Yeah, it
yeah,
was very. It
so
was
windy. So
different to what I
yeah
thought it was going to be like. It's like being in a hairdryer. It was just so hot and windy. Tough, yeah. And I think I did
yeah
travel over. like literally 2 days out. So I did the flight to, was it Miami, or which is like 11 hours, and then we had like a chartered flight to Bahamas. So, and then we didn't get into the rooms until like 1:30 in the morning or
Yeah,
something, and then it was literally the next day we were racing. So that was wild. That was
yeah, that was wild. So take me through those races. Which one of the races were your favorite, by the way? Which
I'm
event?
going to say the 800 because I actually wasn't supposed to be doing the 15 as well. Yeah, and especially with the preparation that I'd had, like, you know, long travel, it was really hot, all that jazz, probably not enough sleep. The 8 was just short
Yeah,
and sweet enough, we'll say, to get through that and actually enjoy it. And it was a pretty competitive race as well, I think.
yes, it
Yeah,
was.
RJ and Ali Wilson came ahead of me with silver and
Yeah,
bronze and silver and gold, and I got the bronze. But it was a quick race. Like I ran 1:59 in those conditions, so I was like pretty proud of myself, to be honest,
yeah.
because I wasn't thinking it was a day to run quick with the win. But yeah, I love it. And again, it's like championship racing. I love, like, you never know what's going to happen. I think that's the fun of it. And yeah, then the next day I found out I was entered for the 15, so I thought, why not? Let's go.
Go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's special as well because it was like my first continental medal for Jamaica. Again, like that's just
Yeah.
kind of like physical evidence of your work, so that always means a lot.
So you really just like to compete, huh?
Yeah, I love it. That's why I train so hard because, you
Yeah.
know, I don't just train to train more. I train to race. You know, that's the fun part for me. Yeah.
So what did you do after that long season? Because Bahamas was like in August, if I'm remembering
hmm
correctly. How did you take a load off? Vacation.
do you know, for me, I I used to want to go like on holiday and stuff at the end of the season, but these days I just love being at home. I think when you travel as much as I do, like it literally starts from January, you have the indoor season, you might be in 3 countries in 1 week, and then you're on a training camp. So I do blocks of altitude training. So I'll go away to like Arizona to Flagstaff for like a month, or this year I'm going to South Africa in January for a month to train at altitude.
Right?
So it's like I'm never really at home for that long. So when I get to the end of the season, I've just been bouncing around. I just like to come home and
Yeah.
just chill, just be in my house, just be still. Yeah.
So let's talk about your pet turtle. What happens to what is it? He or
I
her?
spend some time with Beans. That's what I like to do at the end of the season.
So when you're traveling, where is he?
So he's here. He's in London, where yeah, my home is. But he has a lot of babysitters, I will say that. We're really lucky that we have
Okay.
friends come in, and like he's quite low maintenance, so they'll just put some pak choy down for him and he's good to go. Pop his heat lamp on, and yeah, he's a happy chap.
So why did you get a turtle instead of like a dog or a cat like a normal person?
Yeah,
You got a
I'm
turtle.
really allergic to cats and some dogs as well. Um yeah, I have like a lot of allergies. I just always have. So he just seemed like the perfect pet because there's no fur. So why not?
Yeah.
And do you know what, he's funny? He's way more entertaining than I thought he would be. He sort of like is like a little dog. He'll
Really?
kind of follow me around the house and like just kind of chill with me.
You let him out?
Yeah. He has it sounds very extra. He has like a sort of 3 floor um it's called a tortoise table. And each
Yeah.
floor has like a glass thing so you can see him like going down the stairs and like chilling under his heat lamp.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but it's like not really enough space for him to like be all the time. So on the floor,
Mhm.
any hard floor, I let him out, and then in the summer he just chills outside.
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess I would imagine he loves the heat.
Yeah, he definitely does.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a sun worshipper.
So speaking of the heat, what do you like more, the cold or hot?
Oh, definitely the heat. Yeah, 100%. I think like training in the heat is tough, but at least you're toasty There's nothing worse than being cold.
So that's why you move training camps, or just for the altitude?
Yeah, it's usually for the altitude, also the heat, because you probably know yourself, it's tough to run quick when it's really cold. I'm not moving quite as quick
Yeah.
as you, but definitely in January, when it's like 0 degrees in the UK, it helps being somewhere else to just get moving ready for indoors. So yeah, I'm definitely more of a warm weather kind of person.
Okay, so let's look at your support before we get into the 2023
Mhm.
season. You mentioned earlier that you're signed with Hoka, a shoe company.
Yeah.
Non-traditional for Jamaican athletes. How did that partnership happen?
Yeah, I think I signed with Hoka the middle of 2021, so like May time. So yeah, I'd gone like maybe 6 months or something just unsponsored, which obviously is like challenging. Like it's a real luxury to be a full-time athlete and to be sponsored. So
Oh,
super grateful
oh,
to
yeah.
those guys who, yeah, support a lot of like the training camps that I do. And yeah, so that was really tricky. And I think when you're racing, knowing that as well, like that can also add to the pressure.
Pressure.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just signed with them in that May in 2021. And yeah, I haven't looked back, and they've just been like a really cool brand to work with. I think, only being, I think 15 years old for a sports brand, they've got a lot of like, new and exciting ideas. They haven't been on the track as long. So like they're developing a lot of stuff and speaking to a lot of the athletes. And it's really been amazing to be involved in that and see shoes created where you've sort of given that feedback and they've sort of listened. And yeah, their spikes are amazing. Like it's been really cool to be a part of that journey with them as well, going on track essentially.
So you're a part of like the innovation process when they like create a spike, they'll like get the molding of your foot and whatnot.
Well, they send us a lot of prototypes to test and get our feedback on what we would change and do differently. So that's great because you feel like you have input and
Experience.
say on how the shoes are developed, which I think is amazing. But yeah, in general, I just think they're a brand that really aligns with a lot of the values that I have. They're all about the human, so they celebrate the person rather than just, the
Yeah.
athlete, because a lot of us are just, our identity is just being an athlete. Even the whole process of, yeah, competing for Jamaica, they sort of followed my journey in doing that. And
Yeah.
that was really cool. Like, yeah, I just think they're a great brand.
Yeah, they are. They are pretty good. I like their slides because you made me try their shoes on. And I have a pair of one of their running shoes. I think that's the 500s. I think they are.
Okay.
There's some. I don't know. Get up. Yeah, yeah. They're pretty. At first, when I saw them, they were like dad shoes. You know what I mean? They're like bulky. You know what I mean? But I've realized that a lot of companies are going in that direction. So in a sense, Hoka is a trendsetter. You know. So I give you. You're kind of like a trendsetter for Jamaica, also. But like. Yeah, their shoes, they look funny, but they're actually really comfortable.
They're so comfortable. Yeah.
They're
Well, yeah, I'd love to see more Jamaican athletes in Hoka. It's been historically a distance brand, but who knows? Maybe there'll be more
yeah,
Jamaican distance runners wearing Hoka in the future. That would be nice.
you never know. You never know. Okay, so coming off that great year in 2022, 2023, what was the goal going in?
For me, it was just really build on the previous year. I think, like I said, there were a lot of like other things going on that year. Just getting to be able to represent Jamaica. In itself, like up until that point, was quite stressful. So it was nice to be like, I did that. That's something that I really wanted to do. And I knew in 2023, all I needed to focus on was just, yeah, just do the running. And I just had a year where we just were consistent for
Yeah,
the whole winter, consistent for the whole summer. I didn't really have any issues, which I think is the biggest part about, being able to perform mentally and physically. So it was just easy, like, when things are just going right and you can just do what you need to do. So that was amazing because,
yeah.
it's not very often that you get to say that I've had no interruptions and I can see exactly what my body can do in this moment. So yeah.
Budapest happened. How was your experience there? because that was to me that was your best year in the uniform, and that was my best year seeing you compete. Honestly, I like how you ran in
Thank
Budapest.
you.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah, but let me hear your point of view.
Yeah, I mean, I was just full of confidence. I think going into that championship, like I said, there weren't any interruptions. I was running PB sessions. Like I knew I was in great shape. Um, I had a few races where I was kind of like, this doesn't make sense. Like I know I'm fitter than that. Why isn't it coming out? But I guess that's why my coaches, I give him credit where credit's due. He always gets me to peak at the right time. And
Yeah,
yeah, I just think he did a great job of getting me in shape for that moment and that week. Yeah, just everything came together. I just felt like full of confidence in my running every round. I was like, no, I can push more. I can, I just had a lot of fun as well. Like yeah, I think just got everything
all you do
firing
is
on.
smile, man. You just smile and run.
Yeah, it's funny though, because like the smiles only happen when, yeah, we're in pain. So I think, don't believe the smiles. There's a lot of pain behind those smiles. Yeah, so yeah, it was a really great week. And I think we went into it, you know, running for Jamaica, I have the opportunity to do 2 events, which is amazing.
Yeah,
And that doubles my opportunity, that doubles being able to, yeah, see what I'm able to do in both of those events. I'm more new to the 1500 than I am the 800, but yeah, to go and run a national
yeah,
record for Jamaica and it to be, I can't even remember, maybe like a 3 or 4 second personal best as well, was a
yeah,
massive deal for me. And I didn't make the final in the 15, but that meant the most. Running that national record was like
yeah.
the biggest thing for me personally.
Record was like 28, 29 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
That record
And
is
having
yeah,
it been Yvonne Graham's before, she has so many records in the distance events, the 3K, the 5K, the 1500. So yeah, it meant a lot to be able to
yeah.
go and do that.
I mean, honestly, looking at like what she did, you don't think you could like step up and try to break her records?
I never say never. I think as a kid, I would never have said absolutely not. Could I run further than 800? I didn't think I would be a 1500 runner, let alone a Jamaican record holder in the 1500. So yeah, I never say never. I was a 400, 800 girl when I first started, so I just would never have thought that. And I think that's why I always try and say that to other young athletes as well. Like you just don't know what you can achieve, so don't put a limit on it. Whether that's a distance, time, you've just got to just go and see what your body can do and enjoy it. But yeah, I definitely think in the future I'd be open to stepping up. We'll see.
Would you ever consider doing like what is it, the half marathons?
Maybe, I don't know. Like for me,
Really? Just pushing it. Just like later.
yeah, it's kind of like for me as a middle distance runner, I know how much running I already do to do that. So I'd have to do so much more. So I just don't know if my body, is capable of that. But I wouldn't put a limit on it.
Yeah, I
I never
mean,
say never.
like okay, like for me, like I run the 400, but I really enjoy running miles. I want to do like a half marathon. Yeah, I love running.
Okay.
I'm not gonna like be competitive at it, but like I like to go for like long
Would
runs.
you ever do an 800?
Yeah.
There's like,
No, no,
no.
no,
Okay.
no. No. Because I feel like if I'm gonna do something on the track, it has to be competitive.
Okay.
But if it's like on the road, then I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll be a little competitive, but not as competitive. You know what I
Got you.
mean?
So it's like so much removed from what you usually do that it's easier to be like,
Yeah,
have fun with it. Uh,
yeah. Energy is like right there.
yeah, I see that. Yeah. I think if I was saying like, could I go and do a marathon for fun? Yeah, absolutely, or a half marathon.
Yeah,
But I think because I've done road miles before and I know how amazing that is, like I would love to do one competitively or do a 5K or 3K competitively in that environment. So I'd never rule it out. We'll say that.
okay. I feel that. I respect that. Okay, so what was the team camaraderie like for you in 2023 compared to 2022?
I thought it was great. Like I just think that the team, you know, on the Jamaican team, I think because athletics is like the number one sport in Jamaica as well. Like everyone who does it knows it really well. They follow what everybody's done. So like, you know, people will say well done, like, and when you walk past them and you would have watched their race earlier, and like everybody supports each other. So yeah, I think like it was awesome to be a part of that. And I think also, I guess like being part of that campaign in the middle distance events, you know, Natoya Ghoul has been doing that for years, and it's amazing to be a part of that with her and Navaski, even Aisha Protlier, because I just think it's so important for people to keep seeing that. So that's something that I'm really passionate about, and I really, I just want to be able to show people that you can not only be fast, but you can also go far. So yeah.
But how do you think like a country like Jamaica can be, you know, good consistently in like the 800 or 1500? Because we're kind of missing that bubble. And I mean, you know, yes, now we're seeing like you, Latoya Gould, you, Navaski, and Tyrese Roden. But on the women's side, you guys are more mature than the younger ones. We can't see like any younger athlete that are coming up. You know, like how what are we missing to like turn that tide?
I think
Like, what
there's
do
a lot
you?
of things
Yeah.
that could change. You know, I definitely would love to get in some of the schools and have conversations with individuals as well, and see how, I guess there's that belief as well. Like sometimes when you can't see something like physically, you know that I benefited a lot by meeting Dame Kelly Holmes and having her input, and being like, she's just, you know, like you're not putting someone on a pedestal when they're there in front of you, because you're like, oh, you're just like normal. So I think that is important. There's also things that can be done in terms of facilitating running in general. So I know from the places that I visit, they are good